Welcome to Sip and Spills. We have the highlights of the 2024 presidential debate.
Presidential candidates Kamala Harris and Donald Trump meeting on the debate stage for the first time.
Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate.
See, have fun.
Thank you.
The vice president walking to the former president's podium to shake his hand in Philadelphia, the two standing just 6 feet apart. From the start, the gloves were off.
Tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling.
Trump punching back.
She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well.
The stakes could not be higher for tonight's debate. The two candidates locked in a dead heat in polls. The economy and inflation on the top of American voters' minds. Trump laying the blame on the Harris and Biden administration.
We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%.
Harris responding.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century.
Like the Trump-Biden debate, tonight there was no studio audience and the microphones were turned off.
And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Harris responding.
Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country.
The debate turning personal.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
Trump claiming Biden was pushed off the Democratic ticket.
You talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.
Both candidates getting heated when discussing the issue of abortion, an area of vulnerability for the GOP.
Her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote.
ABC News fact-checking the former president.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Harris, after reminding Americans of Trump's role in selecting members of the Supreme Court who overturned Roe v. Wade, went on the attack.
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
According to a Pew Research Center study, a majority of Americans believe abortion should be legal in all or most cases. President Trump hammering the Biden administration on the border, an area of vulnerability for Harris.
There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in. And all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here.
Harris defending her record, pointing to the bipartisan border bill that Trump killed.
That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
At one point, Trump repeating debunked claims about immigrants in Springfield, Ohio.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Both candidates going after one another. Harris needling Trump about his rallies.
You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there.
ABC News anchor Lindsay Davis challenging the vice president on her changing positions.
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
Fracking is a well stimulation technique involving the fracturing of formations in bedrock by a pressurized liquid. Fracking main problem. The process creates vast amounts of wastewater, emits greenhouse gases such as methane, releases toxic air pollutants, and generates noise.
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made.
Tonight was crucial for both candidates, but for Harris it was her biggest stage yet, as she reintroduces herself to voters, with recent polls showing nearly a third of voters say they still don't know enough about her. While tonight was her first presidential debate, she did not hold back.
When you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact.
Trump launching attacks on Harris's record.
She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Tonight was Trump's 7th presidential debate. Less than 3 months ago, he was on the debate stage facing off against a different candidate.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Shortly after Trump survived an assassination attempt, then Biden dramatically ending his bid for a second term, passing the torch to his vice president. Polling shows Harris and Trump locked at a tight race. A New York Times Siena poll found Trump leading Harris by 1 percentage point. The former president's support holding steady despite a New York jury finding him guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records in the Stormy Daniels hush money case.
I think this is
Trump responding.
I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department.
Tonight's debate coming amidst prolonged conflict in the Middle East. Israel, a controversial topic.
She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel.
After the debate, Taylor Swift endorsing Harris, writing in part on Instagram, "I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them." With the election less than 2 months away, the impact of tonight's debate can't be underestimated.
What matters is what the voters think. But in the end, right now, he is tied with Kamala Harris. Does this change anything? You have to be very careful, and it's very important to see what the voters think.
Like, comment, and subscribe. We're getting into the focus group of Pennsylvania, his favorite state.
Welcome back to America Decides and CBS News coverage of the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Now, what did the voters think about tonight? CBS's Nicole Killian is in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, with a focus group. And Nicole, we are all so interested to hear what these voters thought about the candidates' performances.
Well, Nora, as you know, this is a swing area, and of course, we've got a range of reactions from our voters who watched this entire debate. I just want to go down the line with all of you and just very quickly tell me who you believe won this debate tonight. We'll start with you, Bridget.
Definitely Kamala Harris.
I would say Kamala Harris.
Donald Trump.
Trump.
Kamala Harris.
And tell me why.
He spoke facts.
He spoke facts. So people in Ohio are eating cats? She must be one of them.
She just basically repeated everything that Biden has said in the past.
What were your thoughts?
She made, Donald Trump made a strong closing statement by saying, why didn't they do all the things that she's proposing during the 3.5 years that they've been in office? And Biden did this entire moderate stance back in 2020, and she's trying to do it again in 2024, but she didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist moderate stance.
Policy stands for 2020 through 2024. We're in 2024, buddy.
It's just a facade.
I mean, you're someone who said that you support Kamala Harris. How do you respond to that?
I think that Kamala has a lot of good plans for the future, and I think that since she wasn't the one that was mainly in charge, even though she is vice president, there is Congress and there is checks and balances, so she can't do everything. I think that with her being more in power with president, I think that she would be able to do a better job.
Robert, I know we started off the evening where you said you're not sure who you may support. Did this debate change your mind in any way?
Kind of did make me sway a little bit toward Kamala Harris with the same exact fact that she made as well. A lot of the big issues for me were the fact that Kamala is a politician and the debate is a politician's game. And I believe that she definitely has a better convincing point for who to vote for.
Is there anything you didn't hear tonight that you wanted to hear, Eddie?
Well, I wanted to hear, as I said at the beginning, I wanted to hear honest, actual policy proposals, and I wanted to hear the truth. And I got some honest policy proposals, but they all came from Kamala Harris. All I heard from Donald Trump was more angry vilification of immigrants, more goofy conspiracy theories about 9-month abortions and eating your neighbor's cat. And those aren't policy proposals, and I really was looking for something like that.
I was kind of hoping that we would address more about our broken immigration system, since we really haven't had substantial immigration reform since the 1980s and even further back to 1960s. And a lot of those decisions made in the 1960s and 1980s have caused this immigration.
Now, let's be clear. Donald Trump's campaign and presidency has been defined by his assault on immigrant families and communities, starting from the moment he launched his campaign in 2015. The Trump administration has weaponized a long broken immigration system to enact a series of policies that resulted in an unprecedented xenophobic attack on our families, communities, and economy. These policies have hurt all of us. President Trump has done everything in his power to subject more than 1 million DACA recipients and TPS holders to deportation, including hundreds of thousands of essential frontline workers helping our community survive the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. He has separated children from their mothers and fathers, both at the border and across the country, inflicting far-reaching trauma to children and families and harming communities. He has blocked millions of individuals from coming to the U.S. through existing immigration channels, undercutting our nation's ability to respond and recover from the ongoing public health and economic crisis that he led in here. Throughout, the Trump administration has relentlessly scapegoated immigrants from the challenges of our country faces.
Problem that we currently have right now, and I was kind of hoping that both of them would talk about immigration and how they would fix immigration, but while Trump attempted to say that there is a problem with immigration and that those that have come here legally should be deported. She really deflected on immigration and didn't take responsibility or Biden's responsibility for letting people in illegally.
Well, it sounds like some of you would like to hear more. That being said, quick show of hands, how many of you feel that there should be another debate? All of you.
Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely.
Well, that remains to be seen, as you know, Nora, but certainly a very spirited conversation among these voters as they watch tonight's debate. But clearly, not all of their answers were. Not all of their questions were answered tonight, so that is why
Nicole,
they believe that they should hear more.
I agree. I think you should pull back up the whole exchange on immigration very early on for that particular voter, because I do think there was actually a good exchange on immigration. I would politely disagree about why that immigration reform bill was killed and who's responsible. And then it was the exchange about that viral video. So that's my 2 cents on this, because I thought it was really interesting on the immigration. Nicole, Killian, and all the voters, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, guys, so now I am confused. Yes, I am confused. I had to jot some things down. So he states that there has been no immigration reform since the 1980s, going back to the 1960s, is what caused immigration, the immigration problem, but stating that Kamala is not taking responsibility. And Kamala did speak on policies, whereas I didn't hear that from Donald Trump. Now, as far as Kamala, I wish she could have gotten out a little more, spoke on a little more. But she had to hit some points, and she had to have some comebacks, because you know he was going to attack, and he wasn't ready. I'm gonna keep. Let me keep going. You guys, let me say this. JFK was the president in the 1960s. He was assassinated not even 1,000 days in. Okay. Lyndon B. Johnson took over. He called for Congress to eliminate the 40-year-old system. Okay? This is the 60s. What did Congress do? You can see today what happened. Okay? Now, the 1980s, we had Ronald Reagan. And I'll let you guys go from there. Okay? I don't have anything else to say. Like I said, she was ready. He wasn't. He was babbling, rambling again, speaking fictional again. Y'all get in the comments. Let me see what y'all thought about this debate. Like, share, and subscribe. Please come back, and also turn your bell notifications on so you'll be notified every time I upload a video, okay? Don't allow anyone to steal your joy.